right, everyone, we have one more day left for the week, so let's make it a good one. The market had a pretty good day today as a handful of stocks moved to the upside in a pretty nice way, but going into tomorrow, we have some crucial bank earnings, and we also have some pretty exciting movement happening from multiple different stocks in the market right now, and you're not going to believe me when I say this. As we look at the heat map, 54% of stocks were actually in the red today, even though the market had a pretty green day, and that is all because of the big tech stocks in Apple, Nvidia, Amazon, and Google really carried the market today. So we're going to cover all the most important stocks to look at for tomorrow and important things to know about so we could end this week with a bang. But with that being said, Tom, let's jump right into it.
Yeah, the market was kind of stuck in a little channel down here, kind of right between 512 and 516. It was good to see it start to really break back out above that today. It created a lot of good intraday opportunities to the upside, whether you were looking at SPY on the breakout or you're looking at Nvidia or even stocks like Snowflake that really just continued to carry all day long. And there were multiple stocks that closed up over 4%. Apple was up over 4%. They actually had some pretty good news today, Mike. Like whenever I look, they came out with some new AI-focused M4 chips, and we all know that if you mention AI lately, you know it's one of the best things to mention. Combined with chips, I mean, Mike, you're it's like the two best things you could possibly say here.
I don't know who thought of this press release at Apple, but they definitely deserve a raise because the stock market loved it. And like you said, all you have to do is combine AI, I guess you could say a good AI outlook, and especially when you combine that with chips, that makes for a pretty positive press release. And looking at Apple right now, as we all know, it is one of those big tech powerhouses, but it really hasn't seen it hasn't seen that like level of euphoria that some of these other big tech stocks have seen lately, like Nvidia or Meta or even a handful of other ones. So it is pretty nice to see Apple move like this, and it's been a while since we've seen it have like a really strong green day like we saw today.
Yeah, we actually have been seeing a lot of consolidation out of Apple. It's been pretty flat ever since like the end of March there. And looking even at the beginning of March, we haven't really moved down below that support or really ran up too much. But that was just such a strong candle today. I'm definitely going to be looking at Apple again tomorrow, Mike, and even over the next few days because it's been dipping pretty good. And whenever you zoom out on a daily chart, it's actually right around key support too, around that like 168 area. We talked about that on Bookmap so much, Mike, and it just failed to really get a true break down below that. So looks like support's holding up here in the short term.
For as long as there's momentum, there's opportunity, but once the trend slows down or changes, just make sure you're not left holding the bag. So good stuff there with Apple. But another stock that had a pretty good day was Amazon, and they actually made brand new all-time highs today, and they haven't done this since like 2021.
Yeah, that's actually really awesome to see, Mike. Like, whenever you zoom out on the Amazon chart, they have been going straight up. Like we're seeing Apple dip down. Even Nvidia here in the short term isn't even breaking their all-time highs. But it's cool to see Amazon moving up like this. I know their CEO had a shareholder letter or a letter to shareholders that they came out with today. He talked a lot about AI and pretty much was touting Amazon as being like one of the main contributors or platforms that AI will be ran off of in the future. So that's a pretty big statement, Mike, and it's more talk about AI, right? We have Apple talk about AI today. Looks like Amazon CEO's talking about it, but at the end of the day, it was just such a good move on that daily, and we're seeing a lot of good momentum here in the short term as these highs break. I wonder if Amazon will actually get to $200 sometime in the short term. It's fairly far away, but if it keeps up with this good momentum, it will come into play here pretty soon.
All right, good stuff there. And then we have to talk about gold and gold stocks yet again, as gold also made another record highs. So this recent increase in gold prices has been insane, and it really goes to show you that investors all around the world are flocking to safe haven assets, and this shouldn't be too surprising, especially given just the current market valuations and the real risks that we have all across the market. As we talked about a lot in yesterday's video, there are some real geopolitical risks, especially in the Middle East, let alone in Ukraine, and then even in Taiwan. So it doesn't surprise me too much that investors are flocking towards a safe haven asset like gold. And at the same time, this recent gold run-up has been one of the largest gold run-ups that we have seen in a while. But that trend just keeps on rolling.
Mike, that was one of the best recoveries that I've seen in a while with gold. That was a great move today, up 1.94%. I know that it's had a lot of good days lately, but there was just something about that movement to end the day. And even in after hours here, it's continued up and actually pushed to 220 here. So, man, gold is on fire. And a lot of these big money gold plays that we've been talking about, like GDX, GOLD with Barrick Gold, and others are doing very well here in the short term too. They're actually approaching recent highs. So if gold continues tomorrow, some of these mining stocks or even like the ETF like GDX will probably start to break out above their recent highs as well. They're very close to it at the moment.
Love to see it. And when we're talking about, let's say gold stocks or Nvidia or Amazon or Apple or any of these stocks that are having big moves right now, there is opportunity to, ride that trend. But the most important thing isn't the stock that you play, it's how you manage the play, right? Like if you're someone that's just going to bag hold the stock, even if the trend changes, then there's a problem there. But the main thing is when you have big moves in the market is to position yourself in a way that can, capitalize off of a continuation of the trend while also limiting your losses in the event the trend fails. So that's the most important thing when it comes to, let's say hot stocks right now or big moving stocks. And it's just important to think about like how you're going to position yourself regardless of how the outcome plays out.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things, and make sure that you guys are sticking to your plans, too. I know that today, there was a lot of crazy movement on SPY. I know a lot of people thought maybe it was going to drop down and open, ended up coming back, and the people that really stuck to their plans made out a lot better than the ones that didn't, and then we saw a nice breakout up, and, you could have reversed it back up and etc., but really sticking to your plans here in the short term is going to be extremely important. And, Mike, I know we talked about gold a lot lately. We've also talked about oil, and oil actually did not have one of the best days. ZOM did make a new all-time high this morning in pre-market, but I don't know. I'm not really going to even count that. It immediately dropped right back off, but it did have a decent close, so figured I'd mention oil at least since we've been talking about it with those geopolitical risks. Just keep in mind, guys, that if Iran does attack Israel or something, that's where we'll probably see oil really pop off in the short term.
Yeah, the biggest thing is just like the, I guess you could say the escalating tensions in the Middle East, as well as like future expected retaliatory situations, if that makes sense. The main thing is the more problems we see in the Middle East, the worse it is for oil prices because they just go up and that makes inflation higher, and it has a giant ripple effect across the rest of the economy and the market. So looking at oil right now and oil stocks like ExxonMobil or Chevron or anything like that, they've been moving up a ton over the past couple of weeks. The trend is very strong, but at the same time, like this has been a giant run over like the past couple of weeks and months, so it's not like all that surprising to see a pullback. And Tom, like we kind of said the same thing with gold, and we did see gold pull back there for like a day or so, but the main thing again with these trends is it's fine to ride them, but just to make sure that when they pull back that you're protected. But I definitely like how you brought up oil there because it's definitely been one of the bigger movers in the market lately. But another area of the market that's been really moving with some serious momentum are the weed stocks, and I know one of the companies, CGC, has a pretty big event tomorrow.
Yeah, they really do. So tomorrow they're going to be having a shareholder event where they're going to actually vote to see if they're going to start to make a new class of shares called Canopy USA. This is a pretty big thing. They're going to actually absorb a few companies whenever this actually happens as well. So that's going to be pretty good. Like they're going to get their infrastructure going. If we scroll through the article here, I'll get you that list. Acreage Holdings, Mountain High Products, Wana Wellness, and the SEMA Group, it looks like. So that'll be pretty big for them. And I wonder if this new class of shares will start to gain more popularity as the U.S. legalizes, but I'm expecting some volatility out of CGC stock, Mike. I would expect it to start to go crazy quite a bit here in the short term.
Yep, we shall see, especially with the election year, but good stuff there. But we also have some pretty exciting bank stock earnings for tomorrow as well, so fill us in.
Yeah, we're at the end of the week, Mike, but these bank stocks are pretty important. So tomorrow, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, Citigroup, BlackRock, and then even Progressive and State Street are set to report tomorrow before the market opens. I'm going to have my eyes really closely on JP Morgan, BlackRock, and Wells Fargo, even Citigroup, of course. Those are mainly the big banks. Man, it's going to be a crazy day, Mike. I know that bank earnings right now are going to be important because of how yields have been moving and how the overall economy has been. Hopefully they report some good numbers. They've been actually doing very well in the short term. If we go look at JP Morgan, it's been pushing new highs here, but at the same time, the past 3 or 4 days, it's been kind of pulling back a little bit.
Earnings season is starting back up again, and I would say tomorrow is the official kickoff. So there we go, and I hope everyone's ready for that. It's definitely getting into that exciting part of the quarter, but good stuff there, and there isn't really too much on the economic schedule besides the Michigan Consumer Sentiment preliminary reading, so nothing too crazy. So let's get right into some setups and predictions for tomorrow. One setup that I'm watching pretty closely right now is KTOS, and this was actually a big money play from earlier this week, and it is a defense company, and the big money put around $400,000 into the 20 strike call options, and I've been monitoring this big money play, and they keep adding more and more and more to it. So the stock is holding up in a nice way. It had some great price action intraday today and even yesterday as well. So I am going to continue to watch this one to the upside, but I'll also say that it's not only a play for tomorrow. A stock like this one can take a couple of days or even a couple of weeks depending on the specific situation to play out, but I just thought it was especially interesting to see the big money continue to add to their position because you don't see that too often.
Yeah, and the stock's consolidating pretty good, right around this big $16.50 to $17 support. I really like the way it's bouncing up off of here. So yeah, as we continue forward, I wouldn't be surprised to see it start to extend up to 19 and maybe even break above up towards $20 or so. It's definitely an interesting stock in the short term, a defense company out there. So keep your eyes on that. Yesterday, I talked about CCJ, Mike, and looking at the daily chart, it's running up into pretty major resistance. And I'm going to keep watching it tomorrow for a potential break of that resistance. If it breaks above $51, I will continue to look at calls, but it broke the high of day from yesterday pretty good this morning, and it went on a decent run right around lunchtime. So overall, pretty good move today by CCJ, up 2%. I'll definitely keep my eyes on it. It's been doing very well, even though the oil stocks and the other energy plays weren't the best.
Good stuff. All right, another stock I'm watching pretty closely is Alibaba to the upside. Chinese stocks kind of do their own thing, and they just move independently, which is a good thing in this market. And they have been moving to the upside in a pretty nice way all week long. So I'm going to continue to watch them to the upside. The more momentum, the more attention, the more pressure a stock like this one puts on its high of day, the higher the probability that the stock continues to move higher for multiple reasons. But either way, I'm going to continue to watch Baba to the upside, and I would like to see it get back above that $75 and you could say 50-cent area.
Yeah, it's a pretty big area over the past couple days. It keeps hitting that in pre-market and then falls down. So if it does break that, that will be pretty fire there for Baba. With my next play, I'm looking at Palantir, and we actually have this one on the book map, Mike, because there's some pretty major resistance coming up right around $22.80 to $23 here. You can see that's a major resistance on this chart as well. So I'm going to switch over to the book map, and you guys can see how major that resistance is. Look at the end of day, how many sellers started coming in up around these upper levels around 23. So if we start to really get some good momentum tomorrow up through that resistance, I'm going to look at calls, and if there's constant pressure on the high a day, that'll make for a good, nice momentum filled run. So that's what I'm looking at for tomorrow with Palantir, Mike. And if it does fall, there is some support down around 22 as well.
All right, good stuff there, and let's get right into the momentum plays for tomorrow. And with the first one, we have TOST to the upside, which had a very good day.
Yeah, it was up 6.88%. Very good here, right around resistance. If it's able to break above 24.70, then look at calls.
There we go. With the next one, we have Chewy to the upside, and this one had a lot of volume today and a pretty nice up day.
Yeah, it was doing pretty good, up 6%. Chewy's been running quite well recently, but whenever you zoom out, they've been kind of rough lately. But if they can break above 18.70, that's where I'm looking for that breakout.
All right, and then with the last one, we have Coinbase for both directions, which also had a pretty good up day, but it has been a little bit weak over like the past like month or so.
Yeah, it really has. Very shaky, just not really getting that good breakout potential. But if it ends up breaking above 266 tomorrow, then go ahead and eye up calls. I like that as the overhead resistance. If you're looking at puts, make it break under 254. That was a very good support level today, or I should say resistance that is now acting as support.
All right, so we have the downside level for puts and we have the upside level for calls. That's for Coinbase. Don't forget about the upside level with Chewy and then the upside level with TOST or Toast. These three stocks are on watch for potential day trades tomorrow if and only if they break through the levels Tom listed. We are looking for breakouts through the levels and then continuations in the listed direction. But it's now about that time for today's $450,000 big money trade of the day. And we are looking at ticker symbol FTDR. So the big money took a bullish position on this one today, where they basically bought a call debit spread. I know this might sound a little bit complicated, but stick with me for a second and I'll break it down nice and easy. Basically, the big money bought the 35 strike calls and shorted the 40 strike calls, both of which expire on May 17th of 2024. The big money wants this stock to go up as much as possible. Max profit will be realized at $40 or above, but it will also still be profitable at $35.45 or above. So the big money is bullish on FTDR. If you don't want to trade the spread, the 35 strike calls are fine. But looking at the stock right now, it is like a little bit more of a risky big money trade setup given the short-term expiration date as well as the options being pretty far out of the money. It's an interesting setup and I'm curious to see how it plays out, and it's definitely a little bit different than most.
Yeah, it really is. FTTR Front Door is a very interesting company, and the stock is pretty choppy overall. Like, you can see it goes in these patterns where it'll run up for multiple months at a time, and then it'll end up running straight down before, gapping up with earnings and continuing to run again for a couple months. Right now, it's down around support. It's been, moving down in a pretty good way lately. I think it's a pretty good area to play that support. And the thing that I really like about this, Mike, is like, let's say you do decide to try to play this back up off the support here, out to May, that is, you can just throw your stop loss right around like 29.50, maybe 29. You don't really have to risk too much. And honestly, I almost even like this one for shares. I think that the risk reward is not bad at all in the short term.
Yep, so we shall see with this one. But looking at the market for tomorrow, there was obviously a lot of bullishness across the market today, but it was mainly led by the big tech stocks. Again, 54% of stocks were in the red today, but when you have companies like Apple, Amazon, and Nvidia up huge on the day, that really lifts the market higher. But looking at everything right now, I know a lot of people did very well off of the uptrend today. So great job to everyone who caught that. But even if you didn't catch that, that's fine. You don't have to catch every single move, and it's also impossible to catch every move. So keep your head up high regardless, but continue to follow the money, keep those stop losses in place, and let's end this week on a good note.
Yeah, let's go, Mike. There's only one day left, and we should have some good volatility tomorrow off of this movement today. I'm hoping that we can get some good continuations, honestly, to the upside. If we move back down, I'm afraid of it getting choppy again. But either way, just continue to be adaptable, guys. Today, the breakout plays are really good. We'll see what tomorrow has in store. Keep your eyes on CGC. That's going to be pretty important. And, hey, let's go Bryson in the Masters.
Let's go. All right, I also want to give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, Hannah in the StockedUp Discord, who just hit it out of the park. So awesome job here, and keep up all the great work, and just make sure to keep that risk management in place. Stop losses and position sizing are key, but awesome job, and keep up the great work. And if you guys are new to the channel, consider demolishing that subscribe button to get our videos recommended to you more often. In every single video, we cover the most important news to know about, some of the best trending stocks at the time, and we cover charts that a lot of times you wouldn't otherwise see. So consider joining the StockedUp crew. But besides that, everyone, let's end this week on a green note.